to our English class. Today we are going to study a poem from Onville textbook. The name of the poem is Father to Son, written by Elizabeth Jennings. Dear children, before going towards the chapter or the poem, let me just ask you some questions regarding the relationship between you and your parents. Do you love your parents? Do you respect your parents? Did your parents understand you? Do you have a bonding between your parents? If you love your parents so much, then it is well and fine. You're a very good boy or girl. You're very excellent. But if there is something problem regarding the relationship between you and your father or you and your mother, then you must read this poem. Father to Son, from Onville textbook, written by Elizabeth Jennings. So, before moving towards this poem, let us know about who Elizabeth Jennings is. Elizabeth Jennings is regarded as traditionalist rather than an innovator. She is known for her lyric poetry and mastery of form. Her work displays a simplicity of meter and rhyme. She has published 26 books of poetry in her lifetime. So take out your textbook, take out the poem, page number 85. So this is the textbook. Ready? Let me recite for you. I do not understand this child, though we have lived together now in the same house for years. I know nothing of him, so try to build up a relationship from how he was when small. Yet have I killed the seed I spent or sown it where the land is his and none of mine. We speak like strangers, there's no sign of understanding in the air. This child is built to my design, yet what he loves I cannot share. Silence surrounds us, I would have him prodigal, returning to his father's house, the home he knew, rather than see him make and move his word. I would forgive him too, shaping from sorrow a new love. Father and son, we both must live on the same globe and the same land. He speaks, I cannot understand. Myself, why anger grows from grief? We each put in empty hands, longing for something to forgive. What a nice poem it is, written by Elizabeth Jennings. So in this poem, Father to Son, from the title itself we can know that this is a voice from a father to a son. He wanted to convey something which he is not able to express it, but through this poem he is trying to express his emotions towards his own son. So here in this particular poem, when we look and read the poem, it is started with capital I. I do not understand this child. So who is this I? This I is an autobiographical element that Elizabeth Jennings is writing about his own child. So I do not understand this child, though we have lived together now. So they are living in the same house, but the father is not understanding his own child. In the same house for years, they are living together for years, but yet I know nothing of him. So, if we are living together for years, we will be having some mutual understanding that what you like and what you dislike. But in this case, the relationship between the father and the son is missing. The understanding. The father must understand the son, or the son must understand his own father. But here in this particular poem, that understanding is missing. So try to build up a relationship. But the father is trying to build up a new relationship from how he was when small. Yes, when we were small, we were kids. We love our parents. Why? Because whatever we want, our parents will give it to us. And we can realize that love also, that whatever our need is, our parents are fulfilling those needs. But when we grow up, there is a generation gap. When we grow up, in the days of our parents and in the days of the younger generation, there is a mismatch. So because of this mismatch, the children is not able to make their parents to understand what is going on in today's era. But the father knows what to give to his own son, because he has gone through so many situations and he is mature enough to understand what is the best for his son or daughter. So in this first stanza, the poet himself is telling to the readers that there is an feeling of not understanding his own son. He himself confessed that he is not able to understand his own child. What is his need? What is his desire? He is not able to understand. And he tried to build up that relationship also, but he is not able to build it up. And he said that, yet have I killed. So he is thinking that if he has killed the relationship between a son and a father, that bonding, because they are not that much have kind of attachment towards each other. So in the second stanza, let's see. The seed I spent or sown it where, the land is his and none of mine. Very beautiful line. The seed I spent or sown it where, the land is his and none of mine. So the responsibility of the parents is to give birth to us and then make us grow up. But when we become adult, we came to know what is our good and bad, and we want to go in our own choice. Sometimes many children say that this is my own life, why are you interfere in my life? I want to live my life in my own style. I don't want to be dependent. I want independent life. So there are so many families like this, that the children doesn't like their parents to be bossy. They want their freedom when they grow up. They want their own life. Okay. The seed I spent or sown it where, the land is his and none of mine. Parents think that I have given birth to my son or daughter, but the son or daughter is not of my design. He himself is doing of his own choice. We speak like strangers. So this sentence, strangers, when strangers came, so we can know the depth of the relationship, how their relationship is like a strangers. We speak like strangers, there's no sign of understanding in the air. So when a father and a son is having a good relationship, that life is a very joyful life, a happy life. But if the strangeness come in the life of a father and a son, then that is the end of that relationship. This child is built to my design, yet what he loves I cannot share. The child is built to my design. So the parents believes that my son or daughter, when he grows up, he should become this and that. It is fixed when he or she is born, that when my child will grow up, he or she will become this and this. So that is the dream of the parents. That is the dream of the parents. Yet what he loves, I cannot share. But when the child grows, he loves another things, not the dream of their parents. So this is the difference in this particular poem. In the third stanza, silence surround us, I would have him prodigal. Silence surround us. When we are like strangers, we never talk to strangers frequently or something else, but we talk to strangers for some informations. Like that, silence around us, I would have him prodigal returning to his father's house. So here the term prodigal means the one who wastes money exceedingly. So in this particular stanza, the prodigal is termed, and it is taken from the biblical verse, that is the parables of Jesus Christ, the parables of prodigal sons. So these parables was told by Jesus Christ to the multitudes of peoples. So at that particular time he narrated this story about the two sons of a father. One was a very gentleman who always take care of his father, and another boy was a prodigal, means who was very who wanted to waste money and who wanted to live his own life. He doesn't want to stay with his father and do their own business. So one day he requests his father to divide their property, and the father also agreed, and they were divided. The property of the father was divided into two equal parts. Then he took all his property and go in another country and spend those money lavishly. Okay, but this elder son was staying with his own father and doing work hard and loving his father, taking care of his own father. But this boy has finished all his property in a maybe in two years, or maybe in 1 year he had finished all his properties, and now he is like a beggar. No one is there around him, not even a single friend, those who were spending times with him in those days when he was rich. But at this particular time when he is in short of money and he is having penniless, so at that particular time no one is there, and now that particular time he remembers of his father, that in the house of his father even the servants are paying a good sum of money. So he decided to go back to his own home and live a life of slaves in that particular, in his own home. He has decided like this, and he go back to his home. But the father when he was coming on his way towards the home, the father sensed that his younger son is coming back. So he rushed towards him, hugged him, loved him, and gave a big, huge party for his return, because the father was very much happy that he was returning back to his own home. So these parables told by Jesus Christ is that when you realize your sin, and you feel guilty of what you had done, and come back to your own father, then your father will really forgive you. So this is the meaning of this particular story, parable. But that's why the poet here tells that silence around us, I would have him prodigal. He is expecting his son to come back to him, like that prodigal son in the biblical story, returning to his father's house, because when he returned, his father would forgive him, and he is also willing to forgive his son, the whom he knew. Rather than see him make and move his world, I would forgive him too, shaping from sorrow a new love. So the father is ready to forgive his son, but in this case we can understand that the son is also not ready to ask forgiveness to his own father. So there is an ego problem between the two. The father says that he is the father, he don't want to go and say sorry to his son, and the son also is having that same kind of ego, that why should I go if I am not wrong. So father and son, we both must live on the same globe and the same land. He speak, I cannot understand. So they have to live in the same world. Same world means the atmosphere we are living. People will say that how their relationship is. Look at the father and look at the son. They don't have a good or mutual understanding between each other. People will talk ill of that family. He thinks that the father and son has to live together in the same place. So in this last stanza, we came to know that the son speaks. He speaks, I cannot understand. So the son is trying to communicate with his parents, but the parents is not able to understand his own child. Myself, why anger grow from grief? So whenever we are angry, we are not able to decide anything. We are not able to come with a good decision. So the anger is the only thing that we should avoid, because whenever we take decisions in anger, that will vanish our life. So myself, why anger grow from grief? It is because of the anger we are not so happy. If we are angry, if we are having that anger feelings, that particular time we are not so happy. So myself, why anger grow from grief? We each put our hands, we each put out an empty hands, longing for something to forgive. Yes, my dear children, this particular word forgive is, by saying we say, yes, I forgive you. It is very easy, but it is really very difficult to forgive whom we are, very difficult to forgive the person who had given pain to our heart. So these two relations, the father and the son, are feeling very difficult to forgive each other. So we say that, yes, I forgive you. In simply way we say that. but it is really very difficult to forgive one another. So this is the only thing we can settle down any problems in any relationship: forgiveness. So if you want to be, if you are stubborn and don't want to forgive, then there is no solution to the problem. But if you humble yourself and forgive, then only you will be able to match up, or the relationship bonding will be having a great bonding, and there will be love, understanding, everything, and your life will go on in a very smooth way. So this is the poem written by Elizabeth Jennings, and the theme of this poem highlights a universal problem. So the generation gap and the lack of communication between the father and the son. The poem begins with the father's lament that he does not understand his child, though they have been living together for so many years. So this is the irony of the poem also, that they had lived together but did not understand each other. So this is a very beautiful poem, Father to Son, written by Elizabeth Jennings. So my dear children, I have asked you in the first previous that whether you are having any difficulties or problem regarding your parents or your father, then you must communicate with your father and tell your problems. What is your problem? Speak to him, say directly, make him to understand what you want, what is your likes, what is your dislikes. So if we communicate with each other and understands each other's problem, then the problem will be solved. So as a parents, when I was a kid, I do not understand why my parents were beating me, were scolding me for so many reasons. I will have some kinds of questions, but now as a parent, I understand why my parents had scolded or had beaten me and what were the reasons of doing so. So when you become a parent, that time you will be able to understand the meaning of love towards you from your parents. So this time you will not be able to understand, my dear children, why your parents are scolding you, but later on you will be able to understand the deep meaning, the deep love of your parents. So it's better to understand them, try to understand them, and put your problem in front of your parents and make them realize that what you really want is good or not. Then whatever the problems may comes, let both the father and son may decide what should be the solution of this particular problem. So it's upon you, my dear children, to come forward and say sorry to your parents, so that your parents will forgive you and love you so much, and hope so that he may understand you at the end. Here are some literary devices for you from the poem. The number one is simile. Simile is a figure of speech that makes comparisons and shows similarities between the two. And in this poem, we can say, we speak like strangers. That particular phrase is a simile. Why? Because both speak like strangers. A figure of speech that makes comparisons. There is a comparison that both are having the similar quality. And what is that? They speak like strangers. Both of them were speaking like strangers. So we speak like strangers is a simile. And another literary device in this particular poem is alliteration. Alliteration is the occurrence of same letter or sound at the beginning of closely connected words. So in this particular poem, it is the seed I spent or sown it where. Seed S, spent S, sown S. So seed spent soul are the alliteration. Silent surround us, silent surround, silent s surround s. So these are the alliteration literary device used in this particular poem. And there is a metaphor also in this particular poem. Metaphor is an indirect comparison between a quality shared by two persons or things. And in this particular poem, it is the seed I spent or sown it where the land is his and none of mine. So this is the metaphor. My dear children, hope you had liked this particular poem. It is very simple but having a deep meaning in it. I had prepared some multiple choice questions for you so that it may help you to understand this poem very easily. Question number 1. Find out the simile used in the poem Father to Son. Just now I had told you about the simile. Hope you will be able to understand. Hope you will be able to guess what is the right answer. Option A, silence around us. Option B, the seed I spent or sown it where. Option C, we speak like strangers. Option D, yet what he loves I cannot share. Hope you had guessed it. Yes, it is option C, we speak like strangers. Question number 2, from where does the son's anger arise? Option A, out of his nature. Option B, out of his sadness. Option C, out of his father's attitude. Option D, out of his childhood memories. And the correct answer is option B, out of his sadness. Question number 3. When the son spoke for the first time, does he also feel sad about the distance between them? Option A, yes, he did. Option B, no, he did not felt anything. Option C, maybe in his heart. Option D, he never thought about it. Yes, and the correct answer is option A, yes, he did. Question number 4. Does the father want his son to move around in his own world? Option A, yes, absolutely. Option B, not at all. Option C, maybe. Option D, none of the above. And the correct answer is option B, not at all. Question number 5. Is there a silence between the father and the son? Option A, yes. Option B, no. Option C, can't say. Option D, maybe. And the correct answer is yes, there was silence between the father and the son. Question number 6. What is the meaning of this child is built to my design, yet what he loves I cannot share? Option A, his son looks like him and they share everything with each other. Option B, his son looks like him yet they don't have anything to share. Option C, his son doesn't look like him. Option D, neither does his son looks like him nor he understand him. What is the correct answer? The correct answer is option B, his son look like him yet they don't have anything to share. Question number 7. Why does the father use I in the line, the seed I spent or sown it where? He was talking about communication gap. Okay, option A, to acknowledge his role in the communication gap. Option B, to acknowledge himself. Option C, to let his son know his importance. Option D, to make him understand about him. Yes, the correct answer is option A, to acknowledge his role in the communication gap. Question number 8. What happened when he tried to build a relationship with him in his childhood? Option A, he was successful. Option B, his efforts were in vain. Option C, he was halfway successful. Option D, none of the above. And what is the correct answer? The correct answer is his efforts were in vain. Option B. Question number 9. How old is the son when his father rants about his agony to his son? Option A, teenager. Option B, grown up. Option C, child. Option D, just came adult. And what is the correct answer? Yes, you know it. Option B, grown up. Now the last question, question number 10. Who is the poet of the poem Father to Son? What is the correct answer? You know it. Yes. Option A, Walt Whitman. Option B, Shirley Tolson. Option C, Elizabeth Jennings. Option D, Kushwant Singh. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is Elizabeth Jennings, option C. So that's all for today's class. See you in the next class.